Remember the song My Heart Will Go On from the movie Titanic? Well, it was just a song, but in reality, the heart really does not go on. And in the past 2.5 years, we've seen a huge spike in cardiac arrest cases in young adults. We've seen celebrities, whether it was singer KK or TV actors Siddharth Shukla, they all passed away from sudden cardiac deaths. Now, what are the reasons for it? What are the causes of it? And how can we prevent cardiac deaths in the country?
सुपरस्टार पुनीत राजकुमार, गायक केके, अभिनेता सिद्धार्थ शुक्ला और सिद्धांत वीर सूर्यवंशी 4 अलग-अलग व्यक्ति हैं, लेकिन इनमें 2 चीजें समान थीं। पहला, वे सभी अचानक कार्डियक अरेस्ट से गुजर गए और दूसरा, वे सभी 40 से 50 वर्ष के थे। इंडियन हार्ट एसोसिएशन के अनुसार दुनिया के लगभग 60% हृदय रोगी भारत में पाए जाते हैं, जबकि दुनिया की 20% से भी कम आबादी भारत में रहती है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में 30 से 40 साल के लोगों में अचानक कार्डियक अरेस्ट में वृद्धि हो रही है। तो कार्डियक अरेस्ट क्यों होता है? अचानक कार्डियक अरेस्ट बिना किसी संकेत के होता है, जिससे हृदय पूरी तरह से रुक जाता है। यह एक विद्युत खराबी से उत्पन्न अनियमित दिल की धड़कन के कारण होता है, जो हृदय को शरीर में रक्त पंप करने से रोकता है। दिल लगभग 60 से 100 बीट प्रति मिनट की दर से धड़कता है और इस दर में कोई भी बदलाव या बहुत धीमा या बहुत तेज कार्डियक आरिथीमिया के रूप में जाना जाता है। हृदय गति में अचानक वृद्धि महसूस करने वाले या जेनेटिक रूप से हृदय रोगों के शिकार लोगों को घातक आरिथीमिया का अनुभव हो सकता है। कोई भी व्यक्ति अचानक कार्डियक डेथ का सामना कर सकता है, भले ही उससे पहले उसे दिल की कोई बीमारी न हो, लेकिन जिन लोगों में अंतर्निहित जोखिम कारक होते हैं, उनमें जोखिम अधिक होता है। जेनेटिक्स, जीवन शैली, मधुमेह और रक्तचाप जैसी बीमारियां, शराब का अधिक सेवन, सक्रिय और निष्क्रिय धूम्रपान और तनाव कुछ कारण हैं। एक स्वस्थ शासन जिसमें पोषण से भरपूर संतुलित आहार खाना, नियमित रूप से व्यायाम करना, धूम्रपान और ड्रग्स जैसी आदतों से बचना, शराब के सेवन को नियंत्रित करना, पर्याप्त नींद सुनिश्चित करना और तनाव का प्रबंधन कुछ प्रमुख कदम हैं। हमें एक अच्छा हृदय स्वास्थ्य सुनिश्चित करने के लिए किसी भी पारिवारिक इतिहास के बारे में पता होना चाहिए और उचित सुरक्षा सावधानी बरतनी चाहिए। किसी भी समस्या का निदान करने के लिए नियमित जांच पड़ताल आवश्यक है और डॉक्टर द्वारा सलाह दी जाने वाली दवाइयों और नियमों के साथ उनका इलाज करें। So let's talk to the expert himself. Dr. Rakesh Yadav from AIIMS's cardiology department joins us now. He's a senior cardiologist here. Let's talk to him and understand why we are seeing a rise in cases, whether there is a rise in cases, what are the reasons, and how we can really prevent sudden cardiac deaths. Dr. Yadav, first of all, why are we seeing this spike in cases of cardiac arrest in young adults in the country?
Very relevant question. And I can say, don't say it has sudden risen as compared to the previous. Yes, what we are believing that post-COVID, definitely there is increased sudden cardiac death. And it has been proven in some of the epidemiological studies also. We believe that COVID involves your heart. It has been shown in MRI studies that about 50% patient post-COVID has some MRI finding in the heart. COVID has coagulation disorder. The platelet aggregation is more in COVID. So we all believe that COVID causes more heart attack. COVID causes more brain attack. And we all believe that because of this, there may be sudden rise of sudden cardiac death. Second important thing what we say, that now, and you're always seeing that these deaths are on gym. It's so much highlighted during gym. I always say, gym is not a killer. Killer is how you do a gym. Sometimes you take a lot of, I can say, nutritional supplement, which we have seen that it causes MI. There's a direct correlation of some of the nutritional supplement with the MI. Second, a very rapid change in your gym activity. You have come to the gym and suddenly after 4 or 5 days, you are running a lot, you are breathing severely. So if you want to do the gym, do a gradual gym. Second important thing, always, if you have a strong family history, if you have a diabetic, if you have a hypertension, take consultation of your physician how to start your gymming activity. During gym, if you have any symptoms, sometimes you feel dizzy, sometimes you feel undue breathless, sometimes you have chest pain, don't ignore it. People ignore. I will do more gym and it will go away. So don't ignore any symptom while gymming. That is the most important thing.
You know, doctor, you talked about gymming, and we've seen a lot of people who look fit, but they've actually a lot of celebrities who actually looked fit, but they weren't actually fit clearly because they passed away from sudden cardiac arrest. How much exercise is too much exercise? When do we know when to stop, and how much should we allow our body to exercise every day?
This is a misbelief that physically fitness means you are cardiac fit. Vice versa, if you want to be a cardiac fit, you have to be physically fit. It means if you have an atherosclerotic coronary artery disease, you have a high chance, you have a high risk factor, like you are diabetic, you are hypertensive, you are a smoker, you have a very strong family history of coronary artery disease. If you do not exercise, the chance that your coronary artery disease will cause you MI will be much earlier. Because there are a lot of genetic factors also involved in this. If you are physically fit, it is never that you may be cardiac fit, always cardiac fit. So many of these factors, like atherosclerotic is genetic disorder, and your environmental factor increases it. So these may be physically fit, but they are harboring coronary artery disease. Second important thing, there are a lot of causes of sudden cardiac death without coronary artery disease, which we say channelopathies. There are some ECG abnormalities, you have a valve disorder, you have a myocardial disorder, इसको हम लोग ARVC we said arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia, in which patient may be asymptomatic, but during exertion die. Sometimes you see the football player are dying. So in Italy, the ARVC incidence is pretty high. So for professional football player, practically all patients need to have an ECG done and MRI done. You have a lot of channelopathy like long QT syndrome, Brugada syndrome, which may lead to sudden cardiac death. So one thing you should always remember, if you have any symptoms and if you have a strong family history of sudden cardiac death, beware of doing extreme exercises.
Okay, you know, I'm going to come to the details of symptoms and the preventive measures later. But one thing, in fact, two terms that we use interchangeably, doctor, are cardiac arrest and heart attack. And perhaps there is a thin line of difference between them. Explain to us what's the difference between the two.
Heart attack is basically acute myocardial infarction. Your artery suddenly block, you have a severe chest pain, your ECG is showing changes, and when you do angiogram, one of the arteries blocked. So that is in a late term known as heart attack. Cardiac arrest means your heart stopped functioning for a while. It means there is no heart activity. Either it is beating very fast, which we know as ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation, or heart has stopped asystole, complete asystole. So you can say the cardiac arrest is a more fatal problem than the heart attack.
And the chances of revival from either of them are?
If you have a sudden cardiac death, believe the revival in Western country out of hospital is only 5%. In hospital, they have 10 to 15%. In India, if you have a out of hospital sudden cardiac death, the chances of revival is less than 1%.
Okay, now coming to the causes of it, doctor, you know, we've been told always that smoking and drinking are the two leading causes and the two main causes, and they're bad habits which we should not take too. But I'm sure there are other reasons. We've seen, like you mentioned, gymming is one of them, too much intense exercising. What really are the main reasons of young adults getting cardiac arrest?
A very good question. We can divide it into three categories. What are the reasons? The first reason is your genetic, which I have told several times, illnesses may cause a sudden cardiac death. Second important thing is lifestyle. And very well told, the tobacco, the smoking, and the other drug addiction, cocaine. So now the use is gradually increasing. Second important thing is sedentary activity. We all believe a sedentary activity increases the chances of sudden cardiac death. Third, your lifestyle, because if you take a lot of junk food, the chances of atherosclerosis increasing rapidly chances of rupturing that atherosclerotic plaque leading to the acute heart attack will increase. So your dietary habit, your exercise habit, yes, too much anxiety, too much workload has no direct correlation, but it has a lot of direct, indirect correlation. When you are anxious, what will you do? You will smoke more, you will drink more, you are tense, you will not sleep properly, your dietary habit will be very irregular, you will be taking a lot of junk food. So the stress has indirect effect in your whole lifestyle, which are detrimental for cardiac patients. And the most important thing which I say, ignorance of these symptoms. Don't feel that I am a young 40 years, if I have a severe chest pain, this pain will be of acidity pain. Absolutely no, we are seeing ample number of young who have some problem. Don't ignore your problem. I have seen a very fit person, marathon runner. One day he said, Dr. Sahab, I have some dizziness and I have a syncope transiently. If you have these symptoms, don't ignore it. You may be marathon runner, it means you have something else. So don't ignore your symptom. And this is, I think, ignorance of your symptoms is the most important cause of what you are seeing, the sudden death in gyms. That is the most important cause. They ignore their previous symptoms.
I think more than ignorance, we are not aware कि symptoms क्या है, how do we know we are getting a cardiac arrest or a heart attack. Tell us what are the mild to intense symptoms through which we can really know that we are going in the wrong direction.
Very good question. Always believe that if you have any unusual symptoms, like on exertion, you are developing breathlessness, you are developing some abnormal chest pain, heaviness, burning from chin to your umbilicus, which was not there previously. You are having dizziness on walking, or suddenly you feel some chest pain, you feel dizzy. You have a history of syncope, means you have fell down somewhere, become unconscious for some few minutes. You have a cyanosis, it's again a sign of some cardiac illness. Breathlessness, sometimes you feel that you develop pedal-edema. Pedal-edema means your leg has swollen. Sometimes people say, my leg has swollen. Yes, that is again a sign. If you feel some abnormal pulsation in your neck, that is again a sign. And the most important thing, always believe the dizziness and syncope. Syncope matlab Hindi mein behosh ho jana. During exercise is the most important predictor of sudden cardiac death. People usually ignore. Sometimes you must have heard in a gym, this person was doing gym, he feels dizzy and we have given some water, he gets up and next day he starts gymming. Again after 3 or 4 days he has a syncope and he died. So don't ignore any symptom which you develop during intense exercise. That is the most important take-home message.
Okay. And before the treatment, there are preventive measures. We all know that everybody has stress, anxiety, everybody has that in their life, varying degrees mein. But how can we prevent, as young adults, as youngsters out there, how can we prevent and perhaps, lead a life where our heart health is 100%?
Bilkul. I always say the prevention is the only cure in cardiology, because there is no cure in cardiology. If you have a coronary artery disease, we treat. We can never cure you. You have to take medicine lifelong. So how you prevent these diseases? And the prevention should start from the neonate. When the child is born, the prevention starts from that age. It means you have to keep your child healthy. Don't make him obese. Don't give the food which is more atherogenic. Don't give them atherogenic, means the food which deposit cholesterol in your blood vessel, like junk food, food which is very rich in saturated fat, food which is very rich in trans fatty acids. Don't give. Don't make your child obese, because if you make them obese, they will become diabetic in age of 40 years. And diabetes is the most important culprit. And as you know, 14% of Indian population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. So if you have a healthy lifestyle in a childhood, you can prevent a lot of diseases like diabetes, like hypertension, like obesity, which has direct influence upon your cardiac health. And what you should do? Yes, do bare minimal exercise. 40 minutes, you can have a brisk walk, you can do yoga, you can do PT, anything. It will make your body fit. Second important thing, eating habits. Try to develop a good eating habit. And not your eating, whole of your kitchen should be good. So buy good things. Don't buy junk food. Your son will say, Papa, the junk food is in the fridge. I will drink it. If you don't buy, he will not drink it. Eat small meals. Eat meals which is full of good carbohydrate, which is full of good fat. I always say, don't eat simple carbohydrate. Avoid sugar from your diet. Avoid oil which is rich in saturated fat. It means the oil which is made by men is always harmful. The oil which is given by God is always good. So if you want to use oil, you use mustard oil, you use vegetable oil, you use sunflower oil, safflower oil, olive oil. So oil is not harmful, but what oil, what fat you are taking is harmful. Carbohydrate is not very harmful, but don't take simple carbohydrate. It means all carbohydrate which is in fruits, which is in vegetable is good for you. All carbohydrate which you have made, sugar you have made, mithaiya you have made, biscuits you have made. So avoid these carbohydrates. And the most important thing, now we all believe sleep has direct correlation with the heart diseases. It has been proven now with multiple studies. So now they have added sleep as new dimension for prevention of cardiac disease. Means you should have a good sleep. Definitely, if you are stressful, you can never maintain your lifestyle good. So avoid stress. That is very, very important. So, and obviously, no to tobacco, no to smoking.
Doctor, you mentioned sleep. There are a lot of young adults, youngsters who don't sleep very early in the night. They have probably 2, 3 a.m. they sleep and then they get up late. They might be having an 8 hour or more than 8 hour sleep, but is that sort of sleeping pattern healthy?
Absolutely not. I can say absolutely, absolutely not. The brain has been given a circadian rhythm in which a hormone maintains your circadian rhythm. Night is made by the God. Day is made by the God. And if you see, all animals sleeps in the night. So the sleep is meant for the night. If you sleep in the night, you will have a good sleep cycle. Sleep has a 4 cycle. Until you cover all the 4 cycle, you will never have a good sleep. So the circadian rhythm is maintained by melatonin hormone in your brain. And that means when the sun sets and when the sun rises. And that sleep is never a good sleep. Aajkal ke bacche goes at 4 o'clock and they will get up at 4 o'clock. Believe it, they will never have a good sleep.
Yeah. And what about, doctor, those who are genetically inclined towards having cardiovascular problems, family history hai, father ko, grandfather ko, and mostly we see it in men. That's also a difference, the men and the women wala difference. So what about those who have this in their genetic history? How can they have, preventive lives in cardiovascular problems? And are there any tests that they can do for their heart health?
If you have a strong genetic history, you should start monitoring your blood sugar, cholesterol and blood pressure at age of 20. And there is a say, Karela upar se neem chadha. There is a say. It means if you are genetically prone, you are a strong family history, and if you don't follow our good lifestyle habits, you will have a heart attack at the age of 40. If you follow, you can take over this heart attack up to age of 70. Believe it. Getting a heart attack at 40 and getting at 70 makes huge impact in your career. So if you have a strong family history, your mother, father are diabetic, start monitoring yourself at the age of 20. And if you develop any illness like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, start proper treatment. Control them. And then you have to be very strict in your diet, exercise regime, no smoking, minimum alcohol intake, no stress, good sleep. So perfectly, I think it's a most ideal question which anybody can ask.
But I think when you say a strict diet and a strict lifestyle, a lot of people out there will get scared and they'll be like, how will we ever follow that strict diet?
I have never said eat this thing. I say you can eat everything. You can eat everything. Suppose you are outside. You can take 2 bananas, you can take 2 eggs, avoid chola puri, chola bhatura. If you want to take, cook them in a good oil. Usually if you make chola in your home, we will use all the good oils, good stuff. It is not harmful. Masalas are not harmful for the body. Believe one thing, they are richest source of antioxidants. It is a oil which is harmful. How fried, how deeply fried, how many times they reuse the oil, which oil they are using. If they are using dalda, it is the worst thing ever made, I can always say. So no food is harmful. I always say, a lot of cardiac patients come, Doctor Sahab, I want to eat paratha. You can take one paratha, there's no harm eating it. But don't take 4 parathas. So your diet should be fixed. Incorporate good vegetables, fruit in your diet. Eat small. Maintain your body weight. Maintain your BMI to 20 to 21. And if your blood pressure is controlled, your sugar is controlled, your cholesterol is controlled, I think there's no harm eating varieties. No harm in eating varieties. Sometimes you want to take dosa from, there's no harm. Once a while, it is not going to change, but your practically 80% of your dietary habit should be regularized. That is the...
Okay. And coming to the treatment, doctor, what are the treatment? How can we treat patients who are already going through cardiac problems?
One thing you should know, that coronary artery disease is an incurable disease. You have to take treatment lifelong. We always say, if you have a stenosis, if you have a narrowing in a coronary artery, we always give aspirin. It has to be continued lifelong. Then we'll give cholesterol lowering drugs. It need to be continued lifelong. If you are a hypertensive, control your blood pressure. If you are a diabetes, control your diabetes. So these drugs need to be continued lifelong. What happens? Your blood pressure is controlled, your diabetes is controlled. Then people stop this medication. Doctor, mera to control ho gaya. And I always say, control is because you are taking medicine. So don't do this. Always, if you want, sometimes what happens, your blood pressure is too much control, then the doctor will gradually decrease drugs and he can stop, but don't stop yourself. So if you want to live long, if you have a patient of coronary artery disease, you have to maintain advice of the doctor throughout your life. Second important thing, there are a lot of other diseases. What I always say, there are a lot of diseases which cause sudden cardiac death. Channelopathies, there are a lot of channelopathies, myocardial diseases, in which if doctor advise you certain devices, there are a lot of new devices which are in the market which prevent sudden cardiac death, which we call automatic implantable defibrillator. You have heard of, there are a lot of defibrillator put in I think airports, lot of good buildings. So that's implantable defibrillator. If you have a tachycardia, they will defibrillate within 10 seconds. So if doctor advise you, don't say, no, doctor, I will not put this, a young boy, how can he live? No, he will live because of the defibrillator. So if you have a history of sudden cardiac death in your family and doctor diagnose you some channelopathies, myocardial diseases, and advise these, though they are costly, costing about 5 lakhs, please, if they are advising to your children, please take the advice of a doctor. Don't take your advice. And the biggest problem is WhatsApp knowledge. Please avoid WhatsApp knowledge. Follow your doctor. All doctors want their patient to be healthy and live long.
So a good heart health requires not just good food and good exercise, but timely regulation of our heart health and keeping a check on what we are doing when, the time of the day, how we are cooking our food. Everything contributes to a good heart health. This is it in Y Factor this time, but next time we come up with something interesting. Till then, bye-bye.